Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a really extraordinary story. It starts not with a win, but with a total collapse, and it really makes you rethink what success even means.
It really does.
So picture this. A courtroom, absolutely packed, you can feel the tension, right? And right in the middle of it all is Julian Mantle.
Not just any lawyer.
No, exactly. He's this super distinguished trial lawyer, one of the best, known for these incredibly expensive Italian suits, like $3,000 a pop.
Wow.
And this relentless drive, just win after win after win. An amazing track record. Looked like he had everything.
Yeah. From the outside, the perfect picture of success. But that's where the story just takes this completely jarring turn.
Right.
Because right there, in the middle of all that glory, in front of everyone, Julian Mantle collapses.
Yeah.
Massive heart attack.
Oh, my gosh.
It was his undeniable, shocking wake-up call. And before that moment, yeah, he had the wins, the well-fed frame suggesting prosperity, but inside, he was really struggling.
Yeah.
Deeply. He'd tell people close to him he was, quote, sick and tired of being sick and tired. That spark he used to have, it had just dwindled, barely a flicker left.
He'd lost his joy.
Completely lost his sense of humor, felt enveloped by emptiness, even with all the success. No real passion for what he was doing day in, day out.
So the heart attack wasn't just physical.
Not at all. It was a symptom of something much deeper, a spiritual sickness, really.
That sounds like hitting absolute rock bottom, especially for someone who seemed to have it all. What made him actually walk away? Not just take a break, but completely dismantle his life.
I think it was that profound emptiness, that sudden stark realization that all the stuff, all the wins, hadn't brought him any real fulfillment. The collapse just forced him to face it.
The gap between the outside and the inside.
Exactly. So what he did next was, well, it was radical. He literally left his high-flying law practice, sold everything.
Everything.
Every material possession. And yes, that included the famous red Ferrari.
Wow. The symbol of his success.
Gone. And he set off on what he called a personal odyssey of the self.
Where did he go?
To India, a place, steeped in ancient culture, wisdom, mystical traditions. He was looking for something totally different from the life that almost killed him.
And that's exactly what we want to do in this deep dive for you listening. We're going beyond just retelling the story.
Right. We want to get to the core.
We're here to distill the actual wisdom he got from these legendary sages of Sivana. Think of this as like your shortcut to what the book calls a magnificent book. It's described as a fun, fascinating, fanciful adventure into personal growth.
And our goal is to make that wisdom super easy and honestly enjoyable for you to grasp. It's presented as a simple philosophy of living, really accessible, really practical, things you can actually do.
Yeah, we want to help you unlock that deeper meaning, give you those concrete tools for your own transformation, maybe help you find your own mega magnificent life, as Julian puts it.
It's about enlightenment, motivation, applying these timeless ideas to your journey.
Okay, so Julian disappears off to India, leaves his old life behind, and then years later, our narrator, John, runs into him again. And the change is well, miraculous, right?
Absolutely staggering. He barely recognizes him. Julian looks years younger. He's radiating this incredible vitality, energy, and this deep peacefulness. It's a night and day difference.
So the big question is just how? How did he do it? What was the secret?
Well, that transformation, Julian learned, starts with the very first virtue the sages taught him, and it's symbolized by a garden, a magnificent, lush, green garden.
No garden.
Yeah, the idea is that your mind is like a fertile garden. If you care for it, tend it, nurture it with positive thoughts, cultivate it consistently, it will blossom far beyond your expectations. It'll bear fruit like peace, joy, creativity.
What about the flip side?
The flip side is crucial. If you neglect it, if you let the weeds, negative thoughts, worries, fears take root, then peace of mind and deep inner harmony will always elude you.
Weeds can really take over a garden fast.
Exactly. And the sages even had this powerful connection in their language. The ancient character for worry was almost identical to the one for a funeral pyre.
Wow, like it burns you up from the inside.
Precisely. It drains your life force, consumes you.
It's such a strong image. And it leads to that idea. You truly cannot afford the luxury of a negative thought. Not even one.
That sounds intense. Maybe even impossible for listeners thinking about their own busy minds.
Yeah, it sounds absolute, doesn't it? But it wasn't really about never having a negative thought pop into your head. That's probably impossible.
Okay, so what's the nuance?
It's about recognizing their nature, The sages saw negative thoughts not just as annoying, but as actual toxic waste. They drain your energy, they poison your spirit, they injure your soul.
So the luxury isn't having the thought appear, it's letting it stay, letting it take root.
Exactly. You can't afford to let it fester, to dwell on it. It's about protecting your mental energy, keeping that garden soil fertile for good things to grow. Not just feeling better, but preserving your power. That makes more sense. It's about your response to the thought, which ties into how enlightened people view circumstances, right? Julian learned, there are no mistakes, only lessons.
Precisely. Every setback, every challenge, no matter how tough it feels at the time, holds an equivalent benefit if you just look for it, if you shift your perspective.
Like the story of Malika Chand.
Beautiful example. Her school burns down. Devastating. Right. Everyone else sees tragedy, loss, the end. But Malika, she saw a chance to rebuild. Not just rebuild, but build something better. A sparkling new school.
So it's not about denying the pain.
Not at all. It's about choosing your response, seeing adversity as fuel, maybe, and living out of the glory of your imagination, not your memory. It's a fundamental shift, turning roadblocks into stepping stones.
Okay, so that's the mindset. But how do we actually cultivate this mental garden day to day? What were the practical tools Julian learned?
The sages gave him 3 really powerful, very practical techniques. Anyone can use them. The first one is called the heart of the rose.
I love the sound of this one. It seems so simple.
Deceptively simple. The ritual is this. You find a fresh rose if you can. If not, just find a quiet place, sit silently, and then you stare intently at the very center of the rose, its heart.
Just stare.
Focus completely. Notice the color, the texture of the petals, the design, the symmetry, even the fragrance. Absorb every detail.
And what happens when your mind wanders? Because it will.
Oh, it definitely will. That's normal for an untrained mind. When other thoughts drift in worries, plans, random stuff, you just gently, without judging yourself, bring your attention back to the rose. That's the practice.
Okay. Why does that work? What's the why behind it?
Well, this practice is ancient, like over 4,000 years old. It's based on the sages' understanding of the mind. It builds concentration. And concentration, they believed, is at the root of mental mastery.
Makes sense.
By focusing on this one beautiful thing, you start to calm the mental chatter. You unravel that worry habit that just plagues so many of us today.
Like an antidote to the constant distraction.
Exactly. And practicing it regularly brings all these benefits. More joy, more energy, the sense of optimism starts to grow. It becomes your personal oasis, your silent retreat, an island of peace. It connects you to something deeper.
Okay, that sounds like a great way to build focus and calm. But what about when those negative thoughts do pop up and try to take over the garden? How do we actively fight back?
That's where the second technique comes in, opposition thinking.
Opposition thinking. Okay.
This is based on a really simple but powerful truth about our minds. It can basically only hold one thought at a time.
Only one.
Fundamentally, yes, and you can use that to your advantage. The application is immediate. When an unwanted thought shows up, maybe you're feeling gloomy after a tough day or some self-doubt creeps in, you immediately, consciously, intentionally replace it with an uplifting one. So gloominess, you focus intensely on cheerfulness, on energy, on a happy memory.
Like actively changing the channel in your head.
Exactly. Julian even had this physical practice with beads of worry on a necklace. He'd move a bead from one pocket to another every time he successfully replaced a negative thought with a positive one.
A tangible reminder. I like that. Is there a deeper layer to this, though? Beyond just swapping thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. The sages taught that thoughts aren't just fleeting things. They're vital, living things, little bundles of energy.
Wow.
And they stressed that the quality of your thinking directly dictates the quality of your whole life. A strong, disciplined mind, which anyone can build through practice, can achieve miracles because it directs that energy intentionally.
So it's about cultivating sattvic thoughts, pure thoughts.
Yes, consistently. It's like proactive mental hygiene. You're reshaping your inner landscape, understanding that your internal chatter isn't just noise, it's actually creating your reality.
Okay, focus with the rose, replace with opposition thinking. What's the third technique for the mental garden?
It's the secret of the lake, which is basically creative envisioning. Julian learned the sages would gaze into a still lake, using it like a mirror.
A mirror for their minds.
Kind of. They'd visualize their dreams as if they were already real, maybe envisioning themselves having more discipline or more joy or unshakable courage. They'd see it reflected back.
So how do we do that without a Himalayan lake?
Right. Luckily, you don't need one. You can do this anywhere quiet. Just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths to get centered, and then create powerful mental pictures of everything you want to be, have, or achieve.
Like what?
See yourself being the world's best father, radiating love, or envision yourself as a great judge, full of wisdom. Picture yourself radiating vibrant health. The key is making these images as clear and vivid as possible.
And why is that visualization so powerful? What's the motivation behind it?
Because the mind works in pictures. It thinks in images, and these pictures directly affect your self-image.
Okay.
And your self-image, in turn, dictates how you feel, how you act, and ultimately what you achieve. Remember, Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. By doing this creative envisioning daily, even just for a few minutes, you're tapping into your mind's magnetic power to attract all that you desire. If something feels lacking in your life, the sages suggested, it often stems from a lack in your thoughts and the pictures you're holding in your mind. It's about consciously directing that magnet.
Okay, so we've tended the mental garden. Now, Julian's Fable takes us to a lighthouse, a tall, guiding lighthouse. What does that represent?
The lighthouse symbolizes the immense power of having clear goals and maybe even more profoundly, discovering your true purpose in life, your calling.
Lighting the way forward.
Exactly. The sages use the Sanskrit word dharma for this, your life's purpose, or as Julian came to see it, his heroic mission on Earth.
A heroic mission, I like that.
They believe that real lasting happiness doesn't come from fleeting things or just hitting external goals. It comes from steadily working to accomplish your goals and advancing confidently in the direction of your life's purpose.
That's what fuels you.
That's what kindles the inner fire that's waiting inside all of us. It's that deep internal motivation that keeps you going when things get tough.
So for you listening, this is a direct challenge, isn't it? To shake up your life a bit, get rid of the cobwebs, take the road less traveled.
It really is. It's an invitation not to be afraid to take some calculated risks, to find what truly makes you happy.
Yeah.
Even if that means big changes, like changing careers, like Julian did so dramatically.
Stepping out of the comfort zone might be necessary to find that dharma.
Often it is. And when you do embrace that, the connection between purpose and motivation just becomes crystal clear. Think about people who genuinely rise with the sun, who greet the day with energy and excitement.
Yeah.
They're the ones who have a purpose that fans the flames of their inner potential. They live in the moment, focused, driven, without energy leaks. Unlike people who are just busy but directionless, always feeling tired and drained.
When your work is your play.
You rarely feel like you're working. It aligns with who you are.
Okay, that sounds ideal. But how do we actually do that? How do we chart that course?
The sages had a practical method, right? A 5-step plan for goals.
They did. Remarkably practical. Step 1. Form a clear mental image of what you want.
Back to visualization. Like the secret of the lake.
Exactly. It reinforces that power. Whether it's a fit, healthy body or a specific professional achievement, you have to see it vividly in your mind's eye. Make it real. The clearer the picture, the more powerful the process. Your mind is this treasure house, and picturing unlocks it, makes the intangible tangible.
Okay, see it clearly. Step 2.
Step 2, get positive pressure. This is about creating accountability.
Oh.
You could publicly declare your goal, tell people you will lose that weight, or write that book by X date. That creates a natural, helpful pressure because, let's face it, most of us don't want to look like we failed.
Right, harnesses social pressure for good.
Or you can use self-imposed consequences. The sages had an extreme version pledging to stand under an icy waterfall if they broke a commitment.
The point is training your mind to associate pleasure with following through, and maybe some discomfort with not following through, turning your own instincts into motivators.
Okay, step 3.
Step 3, attach a timeline. This is crucial. Julian learned, to breathe life into a goal, you must attach a precise deadline to it.
No deadline, just a dream.
Exactly. It's just floating out there. Think like a lawyer prepping cases. You focus on the words with court dates, right? Not the ones with no deadline. A deadline focuses the mind, creates urgency, spurs action, turns intention into reality.
Makes sense. Step 4.
Step 4, create a dream book. Super simple. Get a journal, any notebook. Dedicate it to your dreams, your goals, your desires.
Like a vision board in a book.
Kind of. Divide it into sections. Physical health, finances, personal growth, relationships, spiritual life, whatever areas matter to you. Fill it not just with words, but with pictures, images of what you want, people you admire, scenes from your ideal life.
And look at it often.
Julian said, review it daily. Make it your friend. A constant visual reminder keeping your dreams alive in your mind, influencing your subconscious.
Love that. And the final step. Step 5.
Step 5, apply the magic rule of 21. The sages firmly believed that for any new behavior to really stick, to become a solid habit, you have to do it for 21 days in a row.
21 consecutive days.
Without fail. That consistent practice directs so much focused energy toward the new habit that the old, unwanted ones just slip away like an unwelcome houseguest. It builds unstoppable momentum, creates that neural pathway through sheer consistency. That's why so many programs use that 21 or 30-day model.
Okay, so that's the how. But what's the deeper why behind all this goal setting and purpose seeking? Feels like more than just achieving stuff.
Oh, much more. Julian found that self-knowledge is the DNA of self-enlightenment. The moment you truly define and start actively pursuing your dharma, your life begins to transform.
And life gives you what you ask for.
He really believed that. Life pretty much gives you what you ask from it. But importantly, this isn't just about asking for money or things. It's about setting clear intentions for peace of mind, for abundant energy, for deep, real love. It's asking for the whole picture.
And the mind's role in actually getting these things.
It's fundamental. Your mind acts like this amazing filtering device. Think about it. When you focus intensely on your main goals, your mind automatically starts filtering out the noise, the unimportant stuff, the distractions.
It zeroes in.
It focuses only on what truly matters to you. This directs your energy, creates that life of zest, vitality, abundance. It ensures your most valuable resource. Your mental power isn't wasted on petty things or daily chaos. You start seeing opportunities everywhere.
All right, from the lighthouse guiding our purpose, Julian's Fable introduces a really striking, almost bizarre image. A 9-foot-tall, 900-pound Japanese sumo wrestler.
Huh, yeah, quite a visual, isn't it?
What on earth does he represent?
It's the symbol of Kaizen. It's a powerful Japanese concept meaning constant and never-ending improvement.
Ah, Kaizen. Continuous improvement.
Exactly. And the sumo wrestler embodies this because the virtue speaks to a deep truth. Success on the outside begins with success on the inside.
Inner work first.
Always. When you commit to building a strong inner character, one full of discipline, energy, power, and optimism, you naturally develop this deep sense of faith in yourself, this indomitable spirit.
It's not about quick fixes.
No, it's about holistically cultivating your mind, body, and soul together, unleashing your full potential. It's a continuous journey of becoming better, stronger, wiser.
And it really speaks to courage, doesn't it? That inner strength. Julian said, courage allows you to run your own race, to persist where others have failed.
It does. And he emphasized that courage isn't something you're born with. It's a quality you can cultivate. And it's what leads to that truly virtuous life filled with achievement, satisfaction, and inner peace. Being brave enough to be authentically you.
Even when it's hard.
Especially when it's hard. And Julian learned this commitment to self-improvement isn't selfish. Actually, it's the opposite.
How so?
He asks these really pointed questions that make you think, how could a person possibly lead a corporation if he cannot even lead himself? How could you nurture a family if you haven't learned to nurture and care for yourself?
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Precisely. Self-improvement is the foundation. It's the necessary first step to genuinely helping others, making a real contribution, serving effectively. You have to cultivate it within yourself first.
Okay, so how do we practically embrace Kaizen? How do we push our boundaries daily?
The sages gave concrete steps. First, push yourself daily.
Like Julian and the push-ups.
Exactly. His experience with Yogi Raman. Julian does 23 push-ups, thinks he's totally done, wiped out. Raman tells him, do 10 more.
Pushing past the perceived limit.
Way past it. And that small act revealed a huge truth. Pushing beyond what you think is your limit unlocks mental and physical reserves you never thought you had. Most of us only use a tiny fraction of our capacity. There's so much more there.
I know that feeling, where you think you're spent but somehow find a little more. But there's another layer to this courage facing fears.
Yes. The sages taught him to do the things you fear.
Actively seek them out.
It starts with making a really honest list of your weaknesses. Fear of public speaking, a short temper, lack of energy. Write it down.
Okay, that one.
Then understand Julian's insight. Fear is nothing more than a mental monster you have created, a negative stream of consciousness. It feels real, but you built it.
So how do you dismantle it?
By walking right into it, confronting it directly. If you fear public speaking, the advice was blunt. Sign up to give 20 speeches. Expose the fear to action, and it starts to shrink.
Because fear is just a conditioned response, right?
Exactly. It's a life-sucking habit, as Julian put it, draining your energy, creativity, spirit. But like any habit, it can be unconditioned.
By doing the thing you fear.
Yes. When you consistently choose courage over avoidance, you basically conquer your life. You reclaim your natural strength and freedom moving forward without those self-imposed limits holding you back.
Julian also learned about holistic growth, mind, body, soul together, and a daily ritual for that.
Right. The sages prescribe dedicating at least 1 hour every single day for 30 consecutive days purely to self-improvement.
An hour a day for a month.
It's not a quick fix, they stressed, but it's a magic formula that brings dramatic results in that month. And if you keep it up, reading, meditating, exercising, learning, it becomes a lifelong habit leading to health, energy, peace. It's about watering the whole plant.
And to really drive home why this self-work is so vital, Julian shared the globe story. Remind us of that one.
It's such a simple, brilliant story. A father's annoyed by his son bothering him. He rips a map of the world from a magazine into tiny pieces, tells the boy to put it back together, thinking it'll keep him busy for ages.
Yeah.
But the boy comes back in like a minute. Map perfectly assembled. The dad's amazed, asks how. The son says, Dad, on the other side of the map, there was a picture of a person. Once I got the person together, the world was okay.
Wow. That hits hard.
Doesn't it? It shows so clearly. Fix yourself first. That inner work, that self-improvement journey is the most direct way to fix your outer world. External chaos often mirrors internal chaos.
That's such a profound point. It really highlights the deeper meaning of Kaizen. It's not just about skills. It's about becoming a better person.
Totally. And it reveals that what sets highly actualized people apart is that they do those things that less developed people don't like doing, even though they might not like doing them either.
Delayed gratification. Doing the hard things for long-term benefit.
Exactly. Julian acknowledged change is always a little uncomfortable at first. And yeah, it's more than a little risky stepping out of your comfort zone. But, he concluded, this is the surest way to design a more joyful life. It's embracing that initial discomfort as the path to real growth and lasting joy.
Okay, next up in Julian's Fable. After the sumo wrestler, we get another really unusual image. A pink wire cable. And it's covering the sumo wrestler's private parts.
Yes, another memorable, slightly odd symbol. But it represents something incredibly powerful. Self-control, discipline.
The pink wire cable is discipline. How does that analogy work?
It's actually quite brilliant. Think about a strong wire cable. It's not one solid piece, right? It's made of many, many thin individual wires.
Okay.
Alone, each wire is flimsy, easy to break, but woven together, twisted tightly, they become tougher than iron, super strong, incredibly resilient.
Ah, I see. So discipline isn't one big thing.
Exactly. It's built through small, tiny acts in tribute to the virtue of personal discipline. Little choices made consistently, day after day. They accumulate, like those wires binding together, creating this immense abundance of inner strength.
Like that old proverb, when spider webs unite, they tie up a lion.
Precisely. When you consistently strengthen your willpower, bit by bit, you become the master of your own world, ready to handle whatever life throws at you.
It really makes you think about those small daily choices, doesn't it? Like willpower is what gets you to take that walk when the cozy bed is calling, or helps you bite your tongue when someone's pushing your buttons, and respond with grace instead.
Right.
It's that inner engine pushing your dreams forward when things look bleak. And maybe most importantly, it's the power to keep your promises not just to others, but to yourself, building that self-trust.
And that's exactly why Julian calls it an essential virtue of every person who has created a life rich with passion, possibility, and peace. It gives you that inner power to keep your commitments. It fosters integrity, self-respect. It's the steel in your character.
He even had a locket engraved with something about that, didn't he?
He did. It said, "Through the steel of discipline, you will forge a character rich with courage and peace, a constant reminder of its transformative power."
So how do we actually build this inner steel? Strengthen this pink wire cable in ourselves? What were the practical techniques?
One really powerful method involves daily mantras and creative envisioning.
Mantras again.
Yes, Julian found them incredibly effective. Mantras are specific words or phrases repeated to focus the mind. He shared one he found particularly potent for building discipline. "I am more than I appear to be. All the world's strength and power rests inside me."
I am more than I appear to be. That's powerful.
He recommended repeating it aloud maybe 30 times a day, and for even faster results, combine it with that creative envisioning we talked about.
Wow.
Close your eyes, repeat the mantra, and simultaneously see yourself as this disciplined, firm person, fully in control of your mind, your body, and your spirit. Maybe picture yourself acting with the strength of Gandhi or Mother Teresa in a tough situation. Embody the quality you want.
Why does just repeating words and picturing things work so well? What's the mechanism?
Words are great influencers. They genuinely affect your self-image, and your self-image dictates your actions, your reality.
So if you think you lack confidence,
Your self-image will actually sabotage any efforts you might make, creating a self-fulfilling loop. Mantras interrupt that. They actively reprogram your mind with empowering beliefs that match the disciplined person you want to become. It's like planting new seeds and watering them with affirmation.
okay, what else? Julian also suggested we should actively do things you don't like doing, applying the use it or lose it idea to willpower.
Yes, exactly. And the key is starting small. Don't try to conquer your biggest hurdle on day one.
Like what kind of small things?
Could be as simple as making your bed in the morning when you'd rather not, or choosing to walk instead of drive when convenience tempts you.
Resisting those weaker impulses.
Right. Every time you consciously choose the slightly harder but better path, you strengthen that willpower muscle. The more you exert and nurture the embryo of self-discipline, the more quickly it will mature and give you the results you desire. It really is like building a muscle through consistent effort.
And then there was that really unusual one that Tibetan monks practiced, that Julian adopted, the vow of silence.
Yeah.
It sounds incredibly difficult in today's world.
It is. And that's precisely why it's so powerful for building discipline.
How does it work? Just not talking all day.
Basically, yes. Going an entire day without speaking unless you absolutely have to answer a direct question. Julian learned this profoundly conditions your will. Every single time you feel the urge to speak, to chime in, to comment, to just chatter, and you consciously curb that urge, you make your will stronger. You're actively training it, showing it who's boss, demonstrating real inner control.
Overcoming impulse.
Exactly. Julian pointed out the problem. Most people don't use their willpower because they mistakenly think they don't have any. They blame outside factors. He called it excusitis.
Excusitis. The tendency to make excuses.
A chronic condition. But these practices shift you from blaming outwards to finding power inwards.
It feels like a total paradigm shift, from victim to empowered.
It absolutely is. Julian hammers home this timeless truth. Positive always overcomes negative. He tells you to wage war against weaker thoughts that sneak into your mind. If you persist with discipline, they will leave. They'll see that they are unwanted.
Like unwelcome visitors.
Exactly. And this builds momentum. Small wins, like getting up an hour earlier, bring pleasure and gratification. That creates this positive psychological push, inspiring you to keep exploring your infinite potential. It's like learning to ski awkward at first, but with practice, you gain speed, confidence, flow.
Okay, so in Julian's Fable, the disciplined sumo wrestler finds something interesting. A shiny gold stopwatch.
Yes, the stopwatch. And it symbolizes the next crucial virtue, mastering time.
Because all the positive thinking, goal-getting, self-mastery.
Julian points out they all mean nothing without time. Time is the container. Without it, none of the other virtues can even exist or be practiced.
That's a stark point.
It is. Time slips through our hands like grains of sand, never to return. The sages knew, maybe better than anyone, that time mastery is life mastery.
It's the ultimate resource.
And the great leveler. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. Rich, poor, doesn't matter. What separates those who build amazing, fulfilling lives from the rest is how wisely and intentionally they use that non-renewable currency.
And Julian quickly busts that myth, right?
Yeah.
That being good with time means being a frantic workaholic.
Yes, he pushes back hard on that. True time mastery, he argues, actually gives you more time for the things you love, the things that are truly meaningful to you. Family, hobbies, relaxation.
It's about efficiency for the sake of a richer life, not just more output.
Exactly. Not cramming more in, but making sure your finite hours align with your deepest values, your dharma, your real priorities. Living by design, not default.
So how do we get a grip on our days? How do we master this stopwatch?
First practical technique, strategic planning.
Planning ahead.
Instead of just reacting to whatever comes up, Julian advises spending just 15 minutes the night before, or maybe an hour on Sunday, to plan your whole week.
And the key part.
The crucial bit, often missed, is scheduling those all-important appointments with yourself. Time for reading, relaxing, family, spiritual practice. Treat them like real, non-negotiable appointments.
Because failing to plan is planning to fail.
A timeless truth. You choose your priorities before the week chooses them for you.
It requires some creativity with time, too, doesn't it? Not just blocking it out rigidly.
Absolutely. Julian challenges that rigid thinking. Why not start working an hour earlier so that you will have the luxury of taking a serene mid-morning walk? Or maybe work intensely Monday to Thursday so you can take Friday afternoon off for family or a passion project.
It's about focus around priorities.
Making sure the most meaningful things in your life should never be sacrificed to those that are the least meaningful. Time spent enriching your non-work life actually makes you more focused and creative during work.
Okay, this next one is a real eye-opener, maybe a bit uncomfortable. The ancient rule of 20, the 80-20 rule.
Right, Pareto principle. Julian asks the narrator, "What are you so busy about?" and then reveals that stunning statistic. 80% of your results typically come from only 20% of your activities.
80% from 20%, that's huge.
It means you have to be ruthless in identifying those high-impact activities, what really moves the needle, improving key skills, nurturing critical relationships, taking care of your mind and body.
And focus there.
Focus your best time and energy there. The rest, the gossip, the endless scrolling, the unimportant meetings, the petty worries, it's often just fat draining your time and energy without real results. Remember the mind as a filter. Focus on the 20%, and it helps filter out the unimportant 80%.
Speaking of drains, we also need to eliminate time thieves, those little interruptions that kill focus.
Yeah, the phone ringing off the hook when you finally sit down, people just dropping by your desk when you're deep in thought. They seem small, but they add up.
So what's Julian's advice? Be rude.
Not rude, but ruthless. You must be ruthless with your time. Learn to say no. It's okay to shut your office door sometimes. You don't have to answer the phone every single time it rings if you're concentrating.
That takes courage, though.
It does. Might feel awkward at first. But Julian says, ironically, people will respect you more when they see that you are a person who values his time and your own boundaries. Assert control over your schedule.
And what about procrastination? That habit many of us have of killing time on small stuff to avoid the big, important, maybe unpleasant tasks.
Oh, yes, procrastination. Julian brings back that point about productive people. They do those things that less productive people don't like doing, even though they too might not like doing them.
It's about discipline, not enjoyment.
Right. And he suggests simplifying your life helps fight procrastination. Yogi Raman believed a rich, accomplished life didn't require sacrificing peace. By decluttering your life, physically and mentally, there's just less stuff to get bogged down by, less resistance to doing what truly matters.
This all seems to point towards a fundamental shift in how we view each day.
Exactly. Julian advocates for adopting a deathbed mentality.
Sounds morbid.
It's not meant to be. He urges us, stop acting like you have 500 years to live. We all kind of do that unconsciously. Instead, consciously embrace the idea, today could be your last, so savor it to the fullest. It's about living fully, intensely now.
So you should ask yourself, what would I do today if it was my last?
Just asking that question, Julian found, can energize your days and bring a rush of zest and spirit. It cuts through the trivial, forces focus on what's truly meaningful, stops you squandering time on all those petty things.
It creates urgency.
A positive urgency. It pushes you to do more and to experience more, to harness your energy to start expanding your dreams. Julian's message is powerful. Don't accept a life of mediocrity when you hold such infinite potential. Dare to tap into your greatness. This is your birthright. Live with intention, fiercely.
Okay, so the sumo wrestler, after finding the stopwatch, awakens. And what stirs him isn't just the sun, but the fragrance of nearby yellow roses.
Fresh yellow roses, glooming beautifully.
And these roses symbolize the next virtue, which feels like a shift. Selfless service, moving from self-mastery to giving outwards.
It's a really profound progression. This virtue unveils a deep, almost liberating truth. The quality of your life ultimately comes down to the quality of your contribution.
How much you give back.
Exactly. Julian discovered his own dharma. His true purpose was ultimately to selflessly serve others. It's not just about actions. It's a fundamental shift inside from what can I get to what can I give.
That reminds me of the story about Yogi Raman's father.
Oh, such a great little anecdote. Every night before Raman could sleep, his father would ask if he'd performed an act of kindness that day. If not,
Get up and do one.
gently but firmly, yes, before sleep. It's like instilling this daily spiritual practice of contribution, making it non-negotiable.
It embodies that new paradigm Julian learned, right? That we come with nothing, we leave with nothing.
Precisely. So the sages taught there can be only one real reason for your being here, to give yourself to others and to contribute in a meaningful way.
It's not about diminishing yourself, though.
Not at all. It's about shedding the shackles of self, of ego, focusing on something higher, more fulfilling than just personal gain. The paradox is, they believed, it's in giving that we truly receive the most profound rewards.
So how do we weave this into daily life? Selfless service can sound big, overwhelming.
Julian broke it down into simple, actionable things. First, practice daily acts of kindness.
Small things.
Yes. Julian learned that random acts of kindness daily make your life far richer and more meaningful. They cultivate compassion, connection. Doesn't have to be huge.
Like what?
A sincere, unexpected compliment, a warm gesture to a friend having a tough time, a small token of affection for family, just because. These little things, done consistently, add up. They create ripples of positivity. They make life feel better.
He also really stressed cultivate richer relationships, something he himself had neglected.
Hugely. As a high-powered lawyer, he realized he'd let friendships wither. Friends, he noted, add humor, fascination, and beauty to life.
They keep you grounded.
Keep you humble, make you smile, lift you up, support you when things get hard. Julian deeply regretted not building those bonds in his old life. He says, a person with 3 solid friends is very wealthy indeed. True wealth isn't money, it's connection.
That's so true. And finally, the principle of give to those who ask. Julian's whole mission coming back embodies this.
Right? Absolutely. He promised the sages he'd share their wisdom. His life became about spreading that message. And it encourages you to share your knowledge, your skills, your insights, to contribute based on what you've learned and experienced. Learning isn't just for you, it's ultimately for uplifting others too.
The deeper why behind this service virtue really comes through in the stories Julian shared. They're quite moving.
They really are. Like the story of the old woman and the little table, remember that one?
Vaguely. Refresh my memory.
A frail, elderly mother-in-law, maybe a bit clumsy, is made by her son and daughter-in-law to eat all alone in a corner, away from the family table.
That's harsh.
Very. Then one evening they see their own young daughter building something with blocks. A little table. They ask her why, and she says, with total innocence, I'm building a little table for you and Mother, so you can eat by yourselves in the corner someday when I get big.
Oof. The mouths of babes.
Exactly. That innocent mirroring of their own unkindness just shatters them. It awakens their compassion, changes everything. A powerful reminder of how our actions impact others and how awareness can transform us.
It really brings home that saying of Yogi Raman's.
Yeah.
The one about birth and death.
Ah, yes, so profound. When we are born, we are crying while the world rejoices. He suggested that we should live our lives in such a way that when we die, the world cries while we are rejoicing.
Wow. That's a challenge.
It's the ultimate challenge, isn't it? To live a life of such positive impact, such meaningful contribution that your absence is deeply felt, leaving a legacy of kindness and wisdom. It's the measure of a life truly well lived.
Okay, we've reached the final virtue Julian learned from the sages.
Yeah.
And it's symbolized by something beautiful. A long, winding path covered by millions of sparkling diamonds.
The path of diamonds.
What does this represent?
This embodies perhaps the most crucial, yet often the most challenging virtue. Living in the now.
Being present.
Fully present. Julian learned, the past is water under the bridge, and the future is a distant sun on the horizon of your imagination. The most important moment is now. Learn to live in it and savor it fully, pulling all your awareness right here, right now, because this moment is the only place life actually happens.
It sounds so simple, but it's so hard in practice, isn't it? We're always drifting. How often do you listening catch yourself lost in worrying about the past, things you can't change, or stressing about a future that hasn't even happened?
Constantly, for most of us. Yet, think about those times you feel most alive, most peaceful, when you're totally absorbed in something. Intense work, playing a sport, deep conversation.
Yeah, time just disappears.
Exactly. That's because you're fully present. Julian stresses happiness is a journey, not a destination. It's not out there in the future, it's found now.
Live for today, there will never be another one quite like it.
That's the call. He warns against the trap he fell into. Sacrificing today's happiness, today's relationships, today's peace for some imaginary future goal. The path you're on right now is one rich with diamonds and other priceless treasures if you just open your eyes to see them.
So how do we do that? How do we practically stay present in our busy, demanding lives?
Well, one of Julian's most heartbreakingly powerful points stemming from his own tragedy was the plea to live your children's childhood.
Oh, that hit hard.
He shared how his relentless focus on work cost him his daughter and then his wife. He was never there. He asks that devastating question. What is the point of climbing the steps of success if you have missed the first steps of your own kids?
It's a direct emotional gut punch, especially for parents.
It's an urgent call to prioritize family, be fully present, savor those fleeting moments, because childhood vanishes. You don't get a second chance at those years.
He also really emphasized practice gratitude, even when things are tough.
Yes, just 5 minutes a day consciously focusing on gratitude can change everything. Even if you're facing ruin, Julian points out, there's so much to be thankful for. Health, family, reputation, your country, the ability to work, the power to dream.
Finding the good.
And remembering that profound truth. Life doesn't always give you what you ask for, but it always gives you what you need. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to the abundance that's already there. It unlocks joy, resilience.
And then there was that very countercultural idea, simplify your life, the ritual of simplicity.
Right. Reducing your needs to find more fulfillment. It seems backwards to a consumer culture, but it's powerful.
What kind of simplifying did he suggest?
Practical things. Stop feeling obligated to pick up every phone call. Tune out junk mail. Eat out less. Quit memberships you don't truly use or enjoy. Try spending time without your watch, just being. Maybe even ditch the pager or cell phone if they're ruling your life.
Decluttering life itself.
Exactly. These small acts free up time, yes, but more importantly, they free up mental energy, allowing you to actually savor life instead of being a prisoner of your schedule, shedding the extra stuff to make room for what matters.
And finally, something essential for joy. Embrace laughter, the ritual of music and laughter.
The sages, despite their discipline, loved music. It made them laugh, it made them dance, and it made them sing. Music lifts us, changes our state.
Damn laughter.
Laughter, Julian says, opens your heart and soothes your soul. It releases tension, brings pure joy. He even suggested that if you don't feel like laughing, try looking in a mirror and just laughing for a few minutes.
Take it till you make it.
Kind of. He swore, you can't help but feel fantastic afterwards. And that statistic is sobering. The average 4-year-old laughs 300 times a day. The average adult, only 15.
Wow. We lose so much joy.
We do. It's a call to actively reclaim that childlike wonder and delight.
The deeper why for living in the now really landed with the Peter and the Magic Thread story. That was a powerful fable.
So powerful. A cautionary tale. Peter gets a magic thread, pull it, and time fast forwards. He uses it to skip school, zoom through awkward teen years, jump straight to being an adult, always rushing to the good parts. But then he's suddenly old, life nearly over, and realizes with this aching regret, he missed everything. He missed the gift of living, fishing with his kids, walks with his wife, all the simple everyday wonders.
He fast-forwarded through life itself.
And the punchline is stark. We, here in the real world, will never get a second chance to live life to the fullest. Today is it. Engage now.
Which leads perfectly to the Taj Mahal analogy. How does that tie it all together?
Julian points to the Taj Mahal, this incredible wonder built painstakingly, block by block, over 22 years.
Yeah.
A life overflowing with wonders, he says, is built day by day, block by block. It's those consistent, small, daily efforts done with presence and intention that create magnificent, lasting results. Small wins lead to big wins. Build momentum.
So the final challenge is?
Simple, yet profound. Begin to live each day as if it was your last. Not morbidly, but with urgency, presence, and joy in every moment. #outro.
Wow. What an incredible journey Julian Mantle shared with us, really. From that courtroom collapse to deep enlightenment in the Himalayas and the wisdom he brought back. Just amazing.
Truly transformative.
Guided by those sages of Sivana and their 7 virtues.
Yeah.
We talked about the garden of the mind, cultivating positive thoughts, the lighthouse of purpose, finding our calling, setting goals.
The sumo wrestler of Kaizen, that constant self-improvement, pushing our limits.
Right. The pink wire cable of discipline, building that inner strength, act by tiny act. The stopwatch of time, mastering our most precious resource.
Don't forget the Yellow Rose's selfless service, the joy of contribution.
And finally, that beautiful path of diamonds, living in the now, savoring the journey itself.
And what's so great about this wisdom, I think, is that it's not just philosophy. It's practical. It's a straightforward system tested in the laboratory of life for centuries.
Things you can actually do.
Exactly. It's designed for your transformation, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, like a handbook for personal fulfillment in a hectic age. Real tools for finding peace and purpose right now. And hopefully we've made it feel easy, fun, and really motivating for you today.
Absolutely. So our call to action for you listening is simple. Embrace these ideas. Don't try to do everything at once that's overwhelming.
Yeah, just pick one.
Pick one virtue, one technique that resonates, and commit to practicing it for just 21 days. See what happens. Witness the shift. Because as Julian challenges us, don't accept a life of mediocrity when you hold such infinite potential within you.
Don't be denied your destiny. And remember that core realization Julian had, the bedrock of it all. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience.
That shifts everything.
It should empower you, connect you to your inherent greatness, your unique purpose. Your journey matters.
And on that powerful note, we'll leave you with Julian's final, really provocative thought, something to carry with you. For what lies behind you and what lies in front of you matters little when compared to what lies within you.
Wow.
It's all about looking inward, isn't it? Tapping into that power, that purpose, that potential inside. The joy really is in the living, in the process, not just waiting for some destination.